Hello everybody and welcome back to City Skylines 2, where we have been working on this river for a long time now, and it still needs a significant amount of additional work. But I'm not really interested in continuing to work on it for this exact moment. I want to let it settle a bit and figure out exactly where it's going to be, right? So we want to let that continue to flow over here, fill in these areas, and just settle into the height that it's going to be at. So we're going to let that be for a bit, at least for a few episodes, ideally. We'll see how that ends up going. I might get distracted, but who knows? What we need more than anything right now is low-density residential, right? And we need quite a lot of that. So I'd like to come down over, this direction. We can definitely do some low-density residential over here. Can we get a road in under here? Is there a pillar right there? That's not shocking. That is not shocking at all. We could probably get a pillar, or rather a road through here, and that wouldn't be a bad idea necessarily. Okay, yeah, it would go right there. So that would end up meaning that this gets removed, right? And we would end up taking these out as well. And just running this road through here real quick. We can toss in a fair amount of relatively easy to build territory right here. So that seems okay. Next, I want to get the highway back through here, right? So I want to just connect that straight up like that. There we go. And then we want to do those on-off ramps. So we're going to position that here, and using curve tool, we're going to just bring that up, and that just goes right there, apparently. That can be nice and compact, but this allows the turn out this direction, which isn't necessarily what we want. So what I think we really need to do here, we could, in theory... I'm just thinking here. I think not with the 4-lane, 2-lane, or 2-way highway. So I think what we would really need to do here is bring this up over here so that it only has the turn lane like that. That would be the ideal way to do it. And then this one would, of course, just want to come down over here. Oh, that's horrific. Okay. That slope too steep. So what if we were to build it backwards, right? So we build it coming up over here like that. It's backwards, obviously, but we can just flip that around like that. Okay. I mean, there's a bit of a texture issue there, but I don't think that's actually a problem. Yeah, that seems fine. No issue whatsoever there. So that, of course, means this area could get zoned up. But for now, I want to get this section of road done through here. Can we squeak the road through there? Actually, yeah, there is a spot where we can do that. So we can bring this up and over. Something kind of like that. I don't like this curve here, but we can certainly work on that. So we can bring that out and then up over here. And we can just take it to about here for now. Yeah, that'll work. So that will, of course, allow us to extend out these sections of road. It really doesn't like this angling. Okay, we can take that out of there for now then and rebuild that. So this would end up going over to about here. Then we can curve this road in to go something like that. I don't love that situation there. This curve here obviously needs to be reworked a bit. Simply something like that smooths it out quite a lot. It's not perfect, but I feel like it doesn't have to be. That said, this is horrific, and I don't like what we've got going on there at all. So I would bring in this straight from here, right? And we would look to have this curve a bit more like... That's basically a straight line, but that kind of works. I think it's better than what we had before anyway. So that'll do for now. That gives us all of this space over here, right? We can also extend this section of highway over. We're going to run into some issues with pillars over here. And the question is, what does that end up looking like for us? Well, for now, we can just see. Seems okay. We're probably going to run into an issue if we try to develop this side of the highway, but for the moment, That's a problem for future us to deal with. That's not a current problem. So that seems okay. We just bring this straight on over like so.
We're in the air. Oh,
And there we go.
sorry about
Excellent.
that. It's nothing important. I just lost my key.
Absolutely excellent. I always forget to turn this off every time I start up.
And on to our main feature.
Okay, just music, please. Thank you very much. So we've got this area over here, and this is going to be, you know, a mildly awkward sort of area. Especially right here. So we can put that in about like that. That's really supposed to be straight line tool, though. So let's use straight line tool and see if that gets us a better result. 9190, okay. It's probably not going to be perfect any way we slice that. So this guy would come down, this guy would come down, and then this guy would, of course, be about here. I think, yep, that's a better location. Looks good. Next up would be this. There we go. And then we've got potentially an awkward situation here at the end. But this one looks good, and then we've got this. No, that looks fine. Okay. So this area can, in theory, be filled in here. I'm going to extend this road out over here. Of course, there's a pillar right there. Okay, we're going to take that out for now and just build this straight on through. In fact, this can be pretty much straight line tooled straight over to here. And that would be fine, all things considered. Then we would bring the highway through, of course. No pillar issue now. Slightly awkward on this intersection, but I think that's fine. And that functionally completes these areas, right? At least on this side of the highway. So that allows us to do low-density housing out over here, which we certainly will do. We need a lot of low-density housing, like a ridiculous amount. I'm actually going to use the marquee select tool, and we're just going to fill in everything that's over here. This is apparently row housing up over here, so we're going to rezone that. There we go. More along the lines of that. Okay, so we've got that being developed, and then we've got this area out over here, which we certainly should think about developing. We also could do on and off ramps over here. Of course, this street makes that awkward, right? No doubt about that. So really, and this is very awkward, really we should take this out and do the on-off ramps here. So this, of course, means that we would go up to 3 lanes. Here-ish. 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 And here-ish. But we do run into a pillar there. So that pillar's got to go. And this would go here. Okay, so now can we get this highway straight across? I'm sure we can. Yes, we can. So that's fine. Next up would be our ramps. So in curve tool, I would like this guy to come off over here and just go up over this way. That did not actually go up. Okay, I thought that seemed too easy. Let's try that again. So that would go up over here. And then in theory, down over here, right? But we would want to curve this over to be about like this. That's all giving slope too steep. It seems to be much easier to build these from the bottom up. So that would end up going somewhere around here. Is theoretically viable. If that's the case, then I would prefer to change the angling of this one. So that would, of course, end up being something more like that. Technically, this can turn this way. And I don't love that situation. I'll try it again. Okay, so we would bring this up and bring it in, like, over here, right? Technically, it can turn, but it's, I guess, fine. So then down here, we would bring this guy up over here or so. And then here, we'll build it in reverse. That definitely seems to be easier to build these in reverse. So then this would need to be flipped around. It's going the wrong way. But it would be something along the lines of that. Okay, that seems relatively viable. Then we would get this road here. And that would need to curve, like, up over this way, right? So maybe what we need to do is actually take this whole area out and redo this little corner. It's not a great corner anyway, right? So we bring this up to about here. Can we sneak under here? We can sneak under there. Hang on. Hang on. Now that's a location to sneak in. I like it. So then we would have this come out over approximately here or so. And then we can straight line this out over this way quite a ways and just kind of stick to the highway over here. It would be about here-ish. And that seems fine. And then we can delete this section of road here. And this guy would come straight on over to, like, here, right? That's an interesting directionality there. But I think that we would just kind of want to curve it in. So this is going to have to be curved out and taken to be in line over here, right? But that's not going to match the curve. So it's interesting that this straight line's in almost okay. Indeed. I think for now, we just do something kind of like that. Now, out over here, on-off ramps are going to be a thing. So we're going to need to do some highway upgrades over here. So we're going to need to go for a 3-lane highway. Of course, we've got a pillar issue here. So we're going to take those out for now. And we're going to take this to 3-lane. Like that. And then this to 3-lane. Which I guess this could go all the way through here. Like that. And then this would go to 3-lane about like that. We don't technically have this set up for 3-lane. So that would come in about like this. Yeah. I do like the turn lanes. I think that they are absolutely excellent. So we're definitely going to be utilizing those. Next up, this highway can be reattached. And that would be brought in about like that. Looks good. And we can do our on-off ramps here. So that would, of course, mean an on-ramp somewhere around here. We are in Curve Tool. Okay. That would come up over here or so. And then somewhere over here, an off-ramp. It really is easier to build it this direction. It really, really is. So we do it like that, and of course, this is very awkward. But we just turn it around, and sure, I guess that works. I don't love this situation here, but we'll address it if it has problems, right? That's the way that's going to end up working. So then we bring this guy in up over here. That slope too steep. Hang on, was there a spot here? No, that is significant slope too steep. Oh, I don't love what we've got going on here either. Okay, let's take that out of there for the time being. And just build that through like that. Yeah, that's definitely better. No doubt about that. So, as far as this altitude over here goes, I think we're going to have to start this ramp a bit further back and just bring it up over here. That looks quasi-fine. And then out on this side, I'd like the off-ramp to be at about the same position, right? So that would then come in about over here. Okay, I really don't love what we've got going on with the texturing here, but I don't think that actually matters, to be honest. Except for, you know, like pure visuals. So I'm just checking to see, is there any way that we can run this road underneath here? I highly doubt it. So we're going to need to bring this guy back, I think. And then this road is going to have to be curved slightly around this direction and look to go under like here. Hang on. Don't snap to anything right now. This does work right here-ish. We have some overlapping items over here. So we're going to need to bring this over to about here. Snap to angle now. And then that can come in over here, which can then curve this direction which can then be brought in over this way, right? So this road could be deleted for the time being. And we can turn snapping back on for the moment. And then we can just bring this guy in right like that. That works. So this section over here is supposed to be entirely low-density housing. And then this section over here is all row housing, right? So we just do something kind of like that. Okay. Well, that definitely functions. I'm not going to call it great. Definitely not the photogenic, or the most photogenic thing ever. But it should work. In theory. In theory, it should work. I especially don't like the turn lane here. But if it causes issues, we'll deal with it. For now, we're not having any major traffic issues. So it seems reasonably fine for the moment. So we've got a lot of construction going on down over here, but this is not a huge area, right? We need quite a lot of additional space here. So what I want to do is I want to take this highway over. So that is going to not be the curve tool. And we're just going to bring this highway directly over here. And that's probably going to run into some significant pillar issues out over this way. Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. So we would just want to bring this out to be here for the moment. Indeed. I think our best bet is to remove this section, which we know is completely straight right now, right? So we would bring this guy over, looking to drop a pillar between these highways, but realistically, I'm not sure how real that's going to be. I also want to extend this highway down south, right? So right about here would be good. And we can just bring that down a little further. Then this would look to link in right here, right?
A driving advisory has been issued for the immediate area due to poor road conditions.
So
please
there's
exercise
definitely a
caution
pillar
if you
issue
must
there.
drive,
No doubt about
and
it.
try to stay off the streets until conditions improve. This has been a local public
Right.
service announcement.
So what if we were to just bring this over, drop a pillar
with
here,
Second Moon Radio, your second
and then
digital
bring it
home
over
from home.
this
So sit back in
direction?
your chair, pour
Yeah, it
yourself a
really
glass
doesn't want to go in here. So this is at a mildly awkward angle for
Tonight,
us,
we are doing
this
a
section of
musical
highway.
tour
We could
of
definitely reroute it.
Land of
And I think that's what we're going to end up having to do.
Que bon,
So
as
that
they
would
say.
mean this would
And in
connect up
our
right
age,
here. We
inspired
slap
by
in that
the
roundabout.
infamous Vivaldi
There we go.
passion,
And then the highway here, and we're going to need some multiple multiple setups here in terms of, hang on.
In the city.
Road maintenance services have already been
Hang on a
dispatched,
moment.
and
What was
traffic
that?
flow should return to normal. But if you're
Right, we've
planning
got a
quick trip
pillar
out,
right
you might want to
there
wait a little
that we're
while
running
until
into.
everything clears up.
If you're in it, you already know about it. No use reminding you.
Gotcha.
Meanwhile, expect
Hey, hosts.
Industry.
Play music, please. This is supposed to be a non-stop station. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we definitely need to get these pillars sorted, right? So the question is, how do we want to do that? I really don't like where it wants to put these pillars. I really don't like it. So, we can try to control a bit where these pillars end up going. So this would end up being about here, right? Then we would bring this in to be just checking our lineup here. In theory, about here. And then connect it like that. So now we have a bit of a gap here. Can we actually fit both of these through? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to end up working. And this is currently 3-lane here, but it's going to end up going down to 2. We'll upgrade it back up again. Yeah, we do have a pillar issue there. And here. So currently the pillar that we are running into is both of these. This one and this one. It's just our angling, right? So we could use our curve tool. And we could bring this out to about here. and then curve it up and in over here and bring it through something like this. And then bring this up over here, right? Would be the idea. So what angling do we need to be at to do that? I mean, this is going to be a terrible curve. Absolutely terrible. So what we need to do is we need to curve this a little bit better. I'm going to use the freeform tool for this, and we're going to bring this around to about... We need this to be 180 here, but then we bring it up, and then we bring it over, right? Ooh, that's awful. Okay, I don't like that. Well, this is too far up, for sure. Bring it back to the curve tool. This would need to come out over this way, right? This really does need to just be straight. I really don't like the way that that's curving there. Okay, so in that case, I really wish we could just do this. And we could, to be clear, if we did this. So we bring this guy in like that, and that works. Now what we can do, okay, I think I've got a bit of a handle on this, but now what we could do is we could bring this over, right? We're going to run into a pillar issue specifically here. But now we've dropped a pillar there, and we can get rid of that pillar and this pillar. We build this guy right here. We're just trying to control where these pillars go, right? That's the goal here. So I'd like to see the pillars. I don't know if there's even enough space to drop a pillar there, but that would be the ideal scenario, or just not have a pillar at all. Okay, for now, I want this to snap only to angle and be at the correct height. Okay, so we're just lacking a little bit of space here, right? So if we look at it from this side, there is a spot here where we can have the pillar be correctly positioned for one of these two, but not for both. So what that ends up meaning is we need to have just a tiny amount of additional space here. So I'm going to take this highway, and using the curve tool, I'm going to turn snapping back on. We're going to bring this guy out, and we're just going to curve it out ever so gently. Then we're going to bring it back to about here. About like this. I don't love this curve, but that should allow us to build the highway, and then we can reconstruct the curve once the final pillar is in place. Okay, so that gives us an actual connection there, right? So at this point, we can bring this on out, and we would curve that to go about... Let's turn snapping off for the moment. About here. Okay. Next up, we can turn snapping back on and bring this guy to be about here. And I want this to go a little further in here to line up with this lane. I kind of hate it, but I mean, it's kind of the best we're going to get. Kinda. We can probably increase the curve here and curve this back in a little bit faster. And we can go for that. So this would come in over here, and it would go to like this lane, right? And then we would have it go to here and go about like that. We can do the same out over here and have a bit tighter of a curve. So that would end up being a little bit more symmetrical, right? So then this would come out to about here and not curve at all. Then this would come out over here. About like that. I still don't love it, but it'll do for the moment. For the moment. Now we can see about bringing this road back in. Now this is basically just straight line, right? But we do have pillar issues here, because of course we do. And we can think about how we want to handle that. For the moment, I think we have to take this road around the pillars. I don't see a scenario where we're going to get a particularly amazing setup here. So we just bring this slightly around like so, and then bring it over to about here. There's a lot of pillars right in a row there. Here, I think that we can definitely take this section out, and we don't need a pillar right there. Okay. What I want to do is I want to use curve tool here, bringing this out straight. So 180 degrees. And then curving it up like so. And then curving this over. And then just kind of bringing that in. This isn't a great connection over here, but I guess it'll do for now. I don't love it necessarily, but if it causes us problems, we can deal with it. Okay, now this section over here is going to need to be 3-lane, of course. And we may as well just make this whole section 3-lane here. There we go. And out over here, we've got a pillar here. Of course we do. Okay. So there's actually like a trillion pillars all piled together right there. So we're just going to bring this up to be 3-lane here, and this up to be 3-lane. We might as well have this be 3-lane like all the way through here. So that'll be the case for now. Then we can see about bringing this back in and hopefully getting ourselves a pillar in here somewhere. Elevation up, and just checking to see here. Man. It really wants to slap that pillar in there, doesn't it? Indeed it does. Okay. Let's see about bringing it over this direction. So I want to snap only to angle for now. Okay, we can put a pillar here. And then we can just connect it up. Sure, it works going that way. Why not? This could potentially be an issue eventually, but for now, we'll see about that. Now, as far as this street goes, we're probably going to have to curve it out a little bit further here because we do need to have our on-ramp here. So the on-ramp is going to need a very, very tight curve to it. It's going to have to come around and up over this direction. That's slope too steep, and that's very not surprising. And yeah, that gives overlapping items. We might be better off building it this way here. Sure, that works. And then we just flip it around, right? So that seems okay. Out over this way, the off-ramp here is definitely going to be further out over here. And that's just part of the way that this is put together, right? I don't love the angling that we had there, so I'm going to move this slightly further back. But just because of the geometry of the intersection points here... Oh, this is not in curve tool. Okay. Because of the geometry of the intersection points here, it's just generally going to be a little bit awkward over on this side. So I'd like to bring this guy up. Surprisingly, that works. And then out over here. And that works unsurprisingly. Okay, so something like that would work over here. It's not great. I don't love it, but it would definitely work. So then we can bring this guy out over here. And then curve tool. That would probably help. This is, of course, one way, and we don't actually want that. Let's get that changed. There we go. Curve tool. And we're going to head out over this direction. And then just gently curve that right on in. Okay. It's definitely a bit of a mess along here, but it does actually kind of work. Emphasis on kind of, but it does kind of work. At any rate, it is about time to put a cut in here, and I can't help but notice we didn't run the simulation for very long, so the river isn't doing very much filling up, but we have a lot of road building to do here because we need to construct additional low-density residential. A lot of that needs to happen, but it is time for that cut, so you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Katogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time. Apparently the music turns off while I'm saving. That's awkward. There we go.